This is way better than Date Movie, without a doubt. And again, they're trying to parody the genre. This is better than that, but I hate to say it, but to me, not by that much. I just think Date Movie is a lot more juvenile, where this is a lot more sensible. But I do respect a lot of the jokes here, and I just wish they went a little bit deeper with the comedy and just, but I think, funny enough, when I went on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, it's kind of a 50-50 split. I feel like people love it or they hate it.
Well, yeah, when I watched it with my girlfriend, the first 5 minutes, she was like, oh my God, I hate this movie so much. And we kept watching it, and like 15 minutes later, she started laughing. And then laughed consistently for a while, and then went back to, oh my God, I hate these people. And then started laughing again. So even she was, at the end of it, I looked at her and said, what do you think? And she was like, I don't know. It made me laugh, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I made the joke before the podcast that this is, in comparison to Woody Allen stuff, this is one of the early funny ones. This is nowhere near as good as Sleeper or Bananas or Love and Death. But it's in that vein. It's in the vein of, but like I said, it's making fun of a genre that really Woody Allen invented. There were romantic comedies before Annie Hall, but after Annie Hall, every romantic comedy was trying to be Annie Hall, and to this day is still doing that. They may not know it, they may not recognize it, but they're still trying to be Annie Hall.
Yeah.
And that's the movie I felt like if there was one movie it was parodying, it was Annie Hall.
That's the biggest, that's the bigger conversation I want to have, because that's what this movie made me realize. And again, this is highly subjective, because I started to think, do I even like romantic comedies? And then what I really started to understand is this is the conversation I really want to have with you. And before we get into that, I want actually the cast and crew and the producers to talk a bit more about this movie, because it's going to bring home the deeper discussion I want to have about this. Because for some people, this is a throwaway movie. Like, funny enough, I'm going to go back to something that you said with you. I'm sure you're going to be surprised when you said, James, you watched a review that you didn't trust from people you don't trust. I'm going to bet £50 that this might be the reviewers talking about. Why don't I play it right now?
So I would love to have loved this movie.
Me too.
It is shockingly terrible.
I did love it, and it feels great. This movie is so deliberate in poking fun of every single romantic comedy cliche that I'm just sold. It's one joke. If your complaint is that it is one joke that the romantic comedy is stupid, I get that. But they tell the joke in so many weird, surrealistic, off-putting ways.
That's my complaint, is that there isn't one joke in this whole movie. The movie is, you're looking at people who have obviously studied the romantic comedy genre. They know all the bits and pieces, and they lay them out in this way that you think, okay, well, now you're going to make fun of them, right? And then they never quite ever get around to making fun of them. They just sort of present them in a way to say, well, this happens, and you know that this happens, and then we're going to subvert it by doing something different, but it's not going to be anything funny. Like, they'll set up a situation that you know is a contrived romantic comedy cliche. You think they'll do something subversive or make some comment about it, but instead they'll just do the opposite thing, and that's supposed to be funny, and it's almost never funny.
I would say there is one joke, and they can't just tell the joke. They have to tell you that they're telling you the joke.
And then they tell
it again.
And then they tell you they told it.
Right, and then they over-explain everything. This thing is such a straightforward romantic comedy. It reminded me of, like, Gus Van Sant's shot-for-shot remake of Psycho. Like, it's essentially, they've made a romantic comedy. And there are a couple of moments where they do these really absurd flights of weirdness, and that's when it works.
James, did I get it right? Was that the review you were talking about?
It was exactly the review I was talking about.
I knew it! And the reason I knew it is because we've spoken about this YouTube channel, which is now, well, the review side of the channel, which is now stopped, which is called What the Flick. There used to be a group spun off of the Young Turks YouTube channel, where they had these free journalists, movie reviewers, and pundits talk about movies as well. They hate Woody Allen. I'm not even gonna. They love his movies, but they when it comes to Woody Allen, they've said some really slanderous things, not even looking into the case. So believe me, I know, I understand exactly who I'm dealing with. But in regards to their review, I'm slightly leaning towards agreeing with them to a certain extent, because I mirror some of the things that I feel with this movie as well. But I still feel like it was kind of a conscious choice for them to make this movie a bit more light, and they were just having more fun at poking at the genre a lot more than going deeper and subverting it. I don't really think that was their intention. And personally, I just think that's a bit more of a missed opportunity, because I just think it would, and again, it might just be the film stopping me that feels that way, because many people do like the movie, and maybe it serves more people to be more surface level and more pokey on a whole and not be as submersive. So, I don't know, because even on that review, by the way, there was one lady who loved the movie, who loved it. She was one that started talking at first. She loved the movie, defended it really, really well, a bit like you are as well. So again, I love having those conversations where we don't agree, but we're trying to see the negative and positive in these things, and the narrative and the construction. And in a moment, I'm going to play a clip from the writers talking about it. But yeah, I'll let you follow up from that clip there.
Well, the woman who enjoyed it from that episode of What the Flick is not one of the regular contributors. She's just somebody who came on, which is why her opinion meant a little bit more to me. I stopped watching What the Flick actually when I think it was after Dylan's interview, and Matt Atchity, who's one of the main contributors, and I think runs Rotten Tomatoes or something. He said, "That's it. I'm done with Woody Allen. I'm not going to review his movies anymore." And I stopped watching after that, because first of all, I found them to be film snobs. Like, they were so dismissive of just about every movie. But when he said that, I just remember thinking, that's not your job. Your job is to review movies.
Yeah.
And if there's a movie out, review it. But don't, I found it very grandstanding, and it just turned me off to the whole show.
They love Blue Jasmine. I mean, they still loved his movies, and I'm pretty sure it was Wonder Wheel. When they spoke about Wonder Wheel, and again, that's when Dylan came out and lambasted Woody Allen as well. That's when they read, "I can't do it no more. It's a great movie, but I believe all victims." They just seemed so blinded and ultra liberal without even looking at evidence or anything like that. It did turn me off as well. But unlike them, I kind of separated their feelings for Woody into their criticism. And although they're super snobbish, I actually like their snobbery. It's amusing to me. And
that's why I watched it for so long. Yeah.
So, but What the Flick? Yeah, they're gone now.
Yeah.
So why don't we hear from the actual writer director? I took this. They did a Sundance carpet kind of a junket with YouTube. YouTube tried to get into the film critique space officially. Didn't really work out because they were using Google+. So again, I'll put a link to this whole discussion on the podcast feed, but I just took some select cuts of the discussion, and I just want James's opinion on that, especially I'm going to play 2 clips, and then we'll talk about them individually. So let me go with the first one here.
So they came together, premieres tonight. I've read that it's a spoof of a rom-com.
It's a spoof of sorts.
And a little close to one that's a favorite of a lot of people's, maybe a little similar. Do you know what I'm referring to? You've Got Mail.
Oh yeah, the plot is from You've Got Mail, just the plot, the story. But and I know that You've Got Mail is also based on another movie.
It is The Shop Around the Corner.
But that in turn is based on the play The Fantastics.
That's true, which actually just opened in LA a little while ago.
Fantastics is based on the Shakespearean play As You Like It, which was based on Romeo and Juliet, which was based on an ancient Greek myth called They Came Together.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yes.
That's new.
And in Greek, it's called Ephilos, Vakalos, Mikalos.
So after listening to that, I got that clip firstly just because they were having fun in this clip. They were just, obviously they related the movie. They're very aware of everything they're parodying, and that's the conversation I want to dive deeper into, and that's why I'm going to play the second clip where they go a little bit deeper into what I want to hint at.
So do you guys have rom-coms that are your favorites that, kind of inspired this? You're secretly big fans. I know. It's Harry Met Sally on 24/7.
No, we love
secretly.
all the rom-coms. I particularly love the great rom-coms and also the sort of middle level ones that are not hugely accomplished but follow the formula very slavishly.
What are those? What's a middle level rom-com?
Honestly, the titles are very hard to remember
They're all the
because
same.
they're all like, you walked in the door, or love and you, or you and my love, or
And then there was you, and then there
somebody like you.
there we were.
And so what makes this one different? Obviously, you've got some of the funniest people around.
We just
hanging out.
decided to make one of those.
Oh, perfect.
And that's why it's different. No, it's a goofball, goofy, absurd, crazy, spoofy.
We're poking fun.
We're having
poking-
fun at something.
We're poking fun at
Something
the
we love.
beloved genre.
So when I heard them again, it frustrated me to hear them understand what they were doing, because I just wanted them to subvert it so badly. But then I came into myself and thought to myself, what do I think if I don't think this is a great romantic comedy, what is? And some of these films, James, I want to talk to you during our reign in this or the adjacent project. Then I'm going to give you an example. So Trainwreck, I think is a really good movie. You seen Trainwreck?
Yeah.
Would you class that as a romantic comedy? What would you class that as?
I think it's a romantic comedy.